on the CX500 Turbo, 1982 model, and I'm in a neighborhood, and we're going to take it out for a little spin just to show you how it runs. So these bikes, they don't make a lot of power before they get on boost. It was the nature of the turbo system at that time. Until you get up around 4,500 RPM, they really don't make any boost. So here where I live in Colorado Springs, the static compression of this bike is only 7:1. So at low RPM, it really doesn't have any power. I worked for Superflow for 23 years, and when I dynoed this bike, it made a whole 15 horsepower at about 4,000 RPM. At 5,500 RPM, it made 62 horsepower. So it's got a really steep power curve when the boost comes on. So when you take off from a stop like I just did, you got to rev it a little bit. It's not like modern bikes. They got tons of low-end torque. So I got two cams running, and one's mounted on the gas tank, one's on the helmet. So hopefully you'll be able to see video from each one. Go through the stoplight here. Might take 2 signal changes to get through, but you'll see once we get on boost. If you can see this gauge up here, it's the turbo gauge. We used to call it the smiley face because the little segments get wider as it makes boost, and everybody used to call that the big smile because when the boost was on, it gave you a nice smile with this bike. When there wasn't any boost, not so smiley. So I'm going to try to video the boost gauge for you. When I was riding the bike, this gauge up here, the light didn't really show it very well, and being that I'm sitting here idling in my garage, it's not going to do what it would out when it's making real boost, but hopefully this will indicate it a little bit for you. So you can see as I rev it, the little segments come out. They'll only go out about 4 segments when you're sitting here. If it were under load and making boost, that would go, it would go from here all the way out to the edge. And that's why we called it the smile meter. Okay, I think we can get through this light this time. bikes, and I like to ride those. My FJR 1300 is a hard bike to pass up when you open the garage door. We'll go up here ways and turn around. Bikes at the time, they ran hard, they were less money, they were way less technical, so this one just didn't sell very well. Now this particular year model, the 82s, from what I understand, they were the lowest numbered ones that were ever sold, and that part of the reason was, I believe there was a train wreck with a bunch of them on that train, and they were lost in the train accident. So that meant there were fewer of these in the long run to be sold. Now, if you can get your hands on one of the 650s, they make more power, they're less complicated. But actually, in my experience, I've seen less of the 650s on the road than I ever saw of these 500s. So all the lights work on this one, the turn signals, the high beam, low beam, everything functions.